everyone, my name is Shelby Hartman. I'm DoubleBlind's co-founder and editor-in-chief, and today we're talking about hillbilly mushrooms. Hillbilly mushrooms are a cultivated variety of magic mushrooms, a variation of the Psilocybe cubensis species. If you have ever bought mushrooms from a guy who knows a guy, or you've grown them at home, they were most likely the species Psilocybe cubensis, and there are many different types of Psilocybe cubensis mushrooms. Hillbillies are just one of them. Like many magic mushroom varieties, interest in hillbilly has waxed and waned over the past 2 decades, although it enjoyed a distinct moment in the limelight after winning the Hyphae Cup in the microdosing category in spring of 2022. And for those of you who don't know, Hyphae Labs, which runs the Hyphae Cup, operates in Oakland and does amazing work. Oakland also happens to be one of the jurisdictions where psilocybin mushrooms, alongside other naturally occurring psychedelics, are decriminalized. Psilocybin mushrooms have been used for thousands of years around the world. Psychoactive mushroom cultivation began in the West in the 1980s, over 2 decades after Mazatec curandera Maria Sabina first gave psilocybin mushrooms to amateur mycologist R. Gordon Wasson. And there's a whole story that is really a lesson for all of us around what happened with Wasson and Sabina and the commodification of mushrooms that we encourage you to read about on DoubleBlind, and we also talk about it in other videos on this YouTube channel. But Terence and Dennis McKenna, the ethnobotanists, were famously known for sort of pioneering the methods for cultivating psilocybin mushrooms at home. Hillbilly mushrooms have been on the scene since the late 1990s or early 2000s, as far as we know. A Mycotopia user known, unsurprisingly, as Hillbilly is believed to have foraged them in Arkansas, and from their roots in the American South, their notoriety have expanded, and they're now known to grow wild in many places where other Psilocybe cubensis strains thrive. Even though their popularity has changed over the years, they still are a very popular variety of psilocybin-containing mushroom among growers and psychonauts. And this is because they are easy to grow, and a lot of people just love the way it feels to trip on them. A lot of people in particular really love hillbillies for microdosing, and the Oakland Hyphae Cup just put that on people's radar. According to Ophelia Chong, who's a teacher on a lot of our mushroom growing courses and an advisor to DoubleBlind, hillbilly's trendiness has declined somewhat because people have started to chase higher potency mushrooms over the microdose experience. That being said, they still are a favorite among a lot of people. Hi, my name is Shelby Hartman. I'm DoubleBlind's co-founder and editor-in-chief. And for those of you who don't know, DoubleBlind began as a print magazine 5 years ago that I had the idea for when I was meditating. It hasn't been easy. We've been up against a lot, from censorship to all the challenges of running a media startup in the 21st century. We vowed to never have a paywall over our articles and to always offer scholarships for our educational offerings so people are not locked out from the information that they need to heal. This has all been made possible by the support of our members. Our membership comes with journeys to help people prepare for and process their psychedelic experiences, and we've teamed up with our favorite people in the psychedelic space to offer breathwork, cannabis ceremonies, integration circles, and more. Plus, the membership comes with a free subscription to our print magazine, which comes out twice a year. So if you feel called, I invite you to join us. According to Jacobs, quote, "It's been documented since at least 2005 that the strain can take on 2 different phenotypes. One features the iconically thick stems and caps often associated with hillbilly mushrooms, while the other, less common phenotype features taller stems and a wider canopy. Because of natural variations within mushroom varieties, the fact that hillbillies are often crossed with other mushrooms and their ability to generate mutant varieties, there's a wide range of forms hillbillies can express." Jacobs told us, "I really like how polymorphous they can be." Still, most quality hillbilly grows live up to the variety's stout and sturdy reputation by producing, quote, "dense wall-to-wall canopies, with some examples having enough combined strength to hold gallon jugs of water." Though some in the mycology community may be reluctant to admit it, Ophelia told us, quote, "A lot of us are into mushroom porn, like, oh man, that's a big one, as fat as my arm," which is how she recalls falling in love with the stocky hillbilly variety earlier in her journey. I have to tell you that I've been gifted hillbillies over the years, and they are an impressive looking mushroom. At least the ones that I've seen are, I mean, like literally this big. Hillbilly mushrooms share some characteristics with other Psilocybe cubensis varieties, such as golden teachers, Amazonians, Pinus envy, and Melmac, with a cap color that ranges from orange-brown to classic earth-toned. Mutant varieties of hillbilly mushrooms can also grow really large. Jacob says he's seen specimens with fresh weights of 1 pound or more. Like other Psilocybe cubensis varieties, hillbilly mushrooms contain the psychoactive compounds psilocin and psilocybin, and with a sufficient dose, it will produce a trip. Surprise! So users often describe hillbilly mushrooms as being soft and pro-social. They use words like euphoric, friendly, giggly, gentle. And it's true that hillbillies are associated with laughter and fewer difficult experiences, but I want to put a big, fat, giant disclaimer on this, which is that every single trip is different. And much in the same way that in cannabis there's a lot of legend and lore about like sativa and indica and all these different strains, like the same is true with psilocybin mushrooms, and everyone is different and every single journey is different. So regardless of the variety of Psilocybe cubensis or psilocybin-containing mushroom that you decide to journey on, prepare for the unexpected and be willing to roll with whatever unfolds. I also just want to add the caveat that in the lab, Jacobs told us that he hasn't seen specific qualities in Hillbilly's chemical profile that would dramatically distinguish it from other cubensis strains and varieties. So this just underscores that, you kind of have to take all of these anecdotal reports about varieties with a grain of salt. So depending on factors like metabolism and mode of ingestion, i.e., did you just eat them whole or soak them in lemon juice, you're likely to feel Hillbilly's effects within 30 to 60 minutes, and the trip can last about 6 hours, possibly more, with a peak of about 1 hour. This isn't markedly different from any other Psilocybe cubensis strain. Hillbillies have a reputation of being one of the cubensis mushrooms with a low to moderate potency. However, in the mycology world, few factors are constant, and each grower, says Jacobs, contributes their own twang or sauce, their vision of the ideal hillbilly, which leads to variations in potency and contributes to the ever-changing genome. This is just to say that you're not going to really know until you try it, so start low and go slow, as we say in the psychedelic community. Jordan has recorded hillbilly samples within a wide range of 4 milligrams per gram to 13 milligrams per gram, with an average of 7 milligrams per gram. And this puts them in a wide range of average potency. For context, 3 to 5 grams of average potency hillbilly mushrooms would likely pack between 20 and 35 grams of psilocybin, which is the same dose range used in clinical trials to induce profound mystical experiences. In other words, hillbilly mushrooms may be more potent than you think, and you shouldn't assume just because someone tells you that you have hillbilly mushrooms that your trip is going to be moderate. Growers can use a home test kit on their homogenized material, or, as mentioned before, if you're a more experienced user, you can just gauge potency by trying a little bit. That's honestly the easiest thing to do, but be careful. Like with other Psilocybe cubensis mushrooms, dosage guidelines for hillbilly mushrooms are based on dry weight. The whole mushroom dried. A microdose is considered 0.1 to 0.5 grams, although 0.5 grams really isn't a microdose in my opinion. A low dose is 0.5 to 2 grams. A moderate dose is 2 to 3.5 grams, and a high dose is 3.5 to 5 grams. Anything above 5 grams is a lot, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you really know what you're doing. So we're going to give you another disclaimer here, which you already probably know, which is that cultivating Psilocybe cubensis mushrooms in most parts of the world is unfortunately illegal. It's allowed in Jamaica. Home cultivation has also been decriminalized in a number of US cities and counties. And in most parts of the United States and Canada, you can order psilocybin spores to your door legally, but as soon as you start to grow them, you're doing something illegal. If you decide that you want to grow mushrooms, then hillbillies are often considered one of the most easy and forgiving varieties for beginner and intermediate growers because they thrive in any substrate normally used for cubensis, including grain, bovine dung, equine dung, and enriched soils. And they tend to resist contamination and are quick colonizers. They're also adaptable to changes such as temperature fluctuation in their growing conditions. Even so, successful mushroom growers should take the necessary steps to avoid contamination and establish a healthy grow from the beginning. Contamination is one of the #1 reasons why beginning mushroom growers fail, and it's something to be really cautious of. Hillbilly mushrooms can grow abundantly in many environments where other Psilocybe cubensis also live. However, foragers should be wary of a possible look-alike, the toxic mushrooms known as deadly Galerina, and ensure to identify mushroom species correctly. Like cultivation, possessing psilocybin mushrooms is illegal in most places, with the exception of select locations that have decriminalized or do not control psilocybin mushrooms. For those interested in wild gathering, Ophelia recommends attending mushroom festivals, which often take place at peak foraging times of the year and feature expert advice on the practice. We've also done foraging workshops with mycologist Kane Barlow. I'll just wrap by saying that I do have experience microdosing on hillbilly mushrooms. A friend of mine gave me a really beautiful tincture that was made from them, and I just loved it. Taking a little bit under my tongue in the morning made me feel more connected to myself, more connected to other people. Sort of all the things that people talk about when they talk about microdosing, right? A really good day. And I much preferred it to taking some of the psilocybin capsules that I'd been gifted in the past. But to be honest, I don't know. Was it the fact that the tincture was made from hillbillies? Was it the fact that it was a tincture and not capsules? There's just so much that we don't know about psilocybin mushrooms, and in particular microdosing on psilocybin mushrooms. But if you're curious about cultivating, or you're curious about tripping, whether it be microdosing or macrodosing, hillbilly could be a really interesting variety for you to try. If you want to read more about hillbilly mushrooms, you can check out our full article about it on doubleblindmag.com. And for more videos like this one, subscribe to our YouTube channel.